Does that mean we're ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're ready to go. Okay, guys, welcome to Wholehearted Living with Valerie
and Bennie.
This is the podcast where we bring a subject and the other person, which is my sibling, he does not know about it. But today he's bringing the topic and I don't know about it. And then we have Iggy
that
Meister.
was great.
I know. I never can open the show.
Yeah, and then you also opened it kind of like you were in a library. It wasn't like, hey, folks, welcome.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah.
Welcome to Wholehearted Living.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that
More
nightline.
like, welcome to Macy's.
What do you know?
This
do you
is
remember
elevator music.
No, do you remember Nightline?
That's a news show.
Oh, there was a show where she go, "Hi, this is Mark, and he would like to dedicate."
Oh,
this
you're
song
talking
to...
about like on Sleepless in Seattle, like when they, yeah.
It was, I think it was Coast 103.5, and it would be like,
LA.
he would like to dedicate "I Will Survive," even though she broke up with him.
Yeah.
And, anyway,
Yeah,
that's
I
how
totally
she used to
remember
speak. Yeah. Anyway, let's say hi to Iggy.
Hi, Iggy.
Hello.
Hello.
Iggy's preoccupied with his phone. What is he doing?
He's texting his fiance.
That's my daughter. My daughter today told us that, or she got something really great from school, from ASU. And then my wife asked her, what grade are you in now? Are you sophomore or junior or what?
She didn't know.
I don't know.
Hey, all I know is I'm doing my work. And when they say, hey, you're going to graduate, she's like, woohoo.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I got to tell you, what was I going to tell you? I had a few stories that were really fun, which is one of them is this. My wife asked me yesterday, if I wanted another dog.
Right now?
Wow, silence.
I know.
Oh my God, you are seriously going to have to really expound on that.
It doesn't matter. But she just the reason
matter.
why this is such a big deal is that, do you remember that she said, I don't
Absolutely
want another dog.
not.
I'm not having
but
another
so
one.
did I. And then we have a Maggie.
I know. And so this is the thing that's so funny is that she went from, I don't want one to, I want one before my dog is dead. But no, what it really comes down to is that my mother-in-law had a minor stroke last week. And then, and so she's doing really well right now. I mean, she's far from out of the woods. She's out of the woods in terms of life. She's going to live. That's not an issue.
But she has a lot of recovery.
So she has a lot of recovery, but she's lucid. She does have times where there's problems, but Patty's brother is allergic to that dog, and so he needs to be able to go over to the house to help
dog,
out.
Meaning the dog that your mother-in-law has.
My in-laws have, and they inherited that dog from another person who passed away, and so anyway, he's an older dog, good dog, 16 years old, so he's not a young dog, but he acts normal.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a mutt, right? Oh, he's not a mutt. I lied.
No, he's like I'll have to ask.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna find out, I guess. But he's a medium-sized dog. Not. He's definitely not a pug. But he's not a big dog either.
Okay.
So, but anyway, they can't have him over there anymore because
he's gonna go help.
Because he's gonna have to go over and help.
Now, how does your mom and dad feel about losing their dog?
Well, I'm sure it's mixed, but they are more concerned about the fact that Gary really needs help.
Sure.
And so Gary, my father-in-law, needs help. So, yeah. So that's kind of what was going on. But the thing that, I kind of forgot that I'd have to share that whole story. And that kind of puts a downer on everything, doesn't it? But that's the reason why.
I mean, that makes sense as why you would get another dog. But oh my God, that just breaks my heart that you would get another older dog because you have an older dog.
Yeah.
And it hurts that.
Yeah, that he'll die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, seriously, he could only be around for a couple more years because it's like 16 years old. Jeez Louise.
Right.
Yeah. And our dog, man, he acts dead half the time. Look at right now, man. He's like he looks like a cat eating a fur ball.
Look at him look at you like, what?
Oh gosh.
I am not a cat.
We see some old pictures of him, or pictures of him 5, 7, 8 years ago and
It's
stuff.
so crazy
and
how
he's
it
so
changes.
soft looking,
I
and
know.
it's totally
It
black.
happens so fast. Maggie or Buttercup died in, was it February-ish? End of January, early February. And there were pictures of her in November where she didn't look that bad. She did look older, but I mean, she just declined so fast. It was crazy.
Well, I don't know how much longer we have him, but we like him.
He's
I do know this, that when he's tired, it's like really bad. Like he really struggles going up and down. I've actually walked up the stairs and he gets to the last 3 stairs and he starts he misses. Like I have to pick him up. Like he can't even do it. So,
well, I remember
when,
not to keep bringing up my dog, but Buttercup had little steps just to get on our bed. She used to jump on the bed.
Right.
And then she got to the point where she couldn't even do that.
Right.
So we got the steps so she could climb up on the bed. And then there was a point where she couldn't even go up the steps. I would pick her up and have to put her on her bed. And
I actually, because he likes to be with us, normally, like he really likes to be with Patty, to be honest with you. He really likes to be with anybody other than me, practically. And so, but he'll be with me if nobody else is here.
Right.
And so because I go up and down the stairs, I'll either lock him in my office if I'm
coming down for something
real quick and going, so that way he doesn't follow me, or if I'm going to come down for a little bit, I carry him down. And likewise, I carry him up.
Yeah.
So I do both those things most of the time. And then now we have these little steps, which have been here for years, I think, and he's never looked at them. And now he pretty much uses them almost every time. So he rarely doesn't use the steps.
His strength.
Yeah. He wakes up in the morning and he's got all his energy and he stares at it, kind of like a hiker's looking at a mountain. So it's like, I can do it. I can do it.
I think I can.
And I would say 8 out of 10 times he can in the morning. And then after that, he's like, nah, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
So one thing neither one of you two, that is Iggy and Valerie, you guys didn't bring up either. And this is very important because it took 6 hours out of my life. Neither one of you noticed that there's no wires over here. Those YouTube folks are the only ones that might. You guys are looking over there now like you don't know what I'm talking about. It's the saddest thing in the entire world.
That's interesting, because what I really thought you were going to say is nobody mentioned that Iggy and Trinity had an engagement party.
Oh, well,
you want us
whatever.
to talk about the wires?
I know, because it took it. Look, just look. Doesn't it look pretty?
No, you're right. Now that you mention it, it does.
Yeah, because it looked like all cluttery and stuff. And it's so weird that you lived here even for a while and you didn't notice?
Your laptop is actually blocking my view.
That's his excuse. But you know what? I get what you're saying. Just the simplest little thing. Because in our new house, we made a coffee bar where it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be there. So it's a little table against the wall, like in a built-in. But I didn't want to see the cord going from there to the plug. So Peter and Dustin drilled the holes to go down, and then they put like a little conduit thing that goes all. Well, they don't even have a conduit. It just goes. But the way Dustin is, everything has to be neat. It just couldn't be a hanging cord. He had to tie him to the top somehow, and then it went all the way through, and then another hole out the side, and then in the plug. So you don't even know it's there. They're just sitting there freestanding, which. I get.
Yeah. Well, he'd poop a brick at the way I did this, but but what ended up happening was I took apart the couch, I took apart everything, and then not everything. I just took apart that corner part of the couch where the dog is at right now. And then I drilled a hole down, and then I cut holes in the garage area so that I could see where that hole. I put a flashlight on top and running downstairs so I could see where that hole was at, and then ran a wire to an outlet in the garage. Had to make a ton of holes, and then the thing is, I did that really nice. That's really good looking, except for the fact that I would have had to cut through like some significant wood. And so what I ended up doing was I went right through the ceiling, and so you see a little wire going like this into the wall, because it's like, and I'm talking about in the storage area, which nobody's going to notice. Patty didn't even notice it, and she knew it was there, and she didn't notice it. And so it's just this little tiny thing. Otherwise, I would have had to majorly drill, and I was like, I'm not doing that. It doesn't matter. It's a storage area. I would have if it was a house.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I ran the wire like that. And then, but here's what's funny is I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to make this hole. And the first hole that I drill inside there, because all I wanted was a little tiny hole, and I'm just going to put the wire, and I'm going to put some silicone and stuff inside there to keep ants or anything from coming in. And so I drill this hole, and I'm like going, what is going on? I drilled it into a floor joist.
Of course.
So
of course.
It's like, I can't believe it.
And when you wanted the floor joist, you wouldn't have gotten it
I
in
would
there.
never have gotten it. So then I had to move it, and then I drilled the hole. I did the thing. I was planning on building like this really cool outlet thing, like what you would see on a stage where you have where you hide the cords and all that. And then I thought, you know what? If and when, I mean, we're going to move one day, you know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, right? I'm just saying, we're either going to die or whatever.
Right.
Something's going to happen.
You're not going to be
I
here.
thought somebody might not want that outlet in the floor. And then the way, if I did it really nice looking, it would be, and besides the fact that you can't see it because it's under the couch. So I thought, why am I going to spend the money on that I don't know if you call it receptacle. I don't know what it's called. But why am I going to spend the money on that thing? And then it's going to be so much harder, because what I ended up doing was I just put an outdoor box, like right on top, and screwed it into the floor. And then now they can just literally take it off and just patch those holes, and they're done.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously they'd have to do something with the wiring, but anyway, I thought I got 4 outlets. I'm golden, right? I just didn't do the math, because I'm telling you, if Dustin saw underneath there, and if the fire department saw underneath there, because there are 2 7-prong strips. There's a 3-prong adapter thingy. There's all these different wires. It's crazy how much are in there, because our stupid couch has 400 wires. And then I ran wires over here so that I could plug in my phone and all that stuff. And then I did something for Patty, which she didn't even notice, she has like a little compartment thing where she's at. And so I actually drilled a hole in the couch and then ran another 7-prong adapter in that thing. So she can just plug stuff in. So she can plug stuff in right there. She doesn't have to go down. And then, for the sake of our podcast, I actually have one that came right there.
Nice.
Isn't that all amazing?
I was going to say it. When I pulled it out, I was like, oh, this is a new extension cord.
Yeah, see? So, and then it's easier to bury, right? And it's cleaner. It's kind of cleaner looking.
Dustin would shit a brick, because he's the type that everything has to be all together, and they have to be zip tied all together, and they're not, you know.
I told him that I had to do something. Do you know Mom and Dad bought a new DVD player? Did you know that there's still things called DVDs?
I did not.
But Mom was doing a Bible study with a DVD that she's used in the past. So she was going to use her old DVD, which didn't work anymore. And so she needed it. She wanted a new one. So she went and bought a new one, got another one. She asked me, and
they're
of course,
only $20 nowadays.
Yeah. And she asked me how to install. It's so funny, because she, you know, I think the first 4 times they used it, they called me and said, okay, how do we do input again? I'm not joking. It was like they couldn't figure it out. And so, but what I had to do is, because Dustin did all the wiring and it's all tied together. It's like crazy tight and perfect and everything. So I said, Dustin, you know, I don't know what I did. I said, because the old DVD player is part of that. So what I did was I unplugged it from the wall. I cut the DVD player wire.
I love that.
And then what was sad though is I didn't check to see if Mom had taken the DVD out yet, and she hadn't. So I ended up having to tear apart the DVD player to get to the DVD. And then I went to the other wire and I cut the actual plug, because I was afraid somebody might plug it in, and then that's going to make this thing exposed and lit. But I just cut the 2 wires and I just taped up, and so that way nobody, you know, it's like, and then I just ran the other one separate. Yeah, the other one totally separate. But it was like I either did that or I cut all the wires, and then all of it's a mess. And I was like, I'm not doing that. It's too good. And Dustin started laughing. I think at the same time he was laughing, he was thinking, I wonder when I can go over there. I wonder when I can go fix it.
Exactly. And put the other cord in there with it.
Exactly. But anyway, so it was kind of funny. All right. You want to know another thing that I was going to tell you? No, shoot. I'm still going to tell you. Patty loves this. I actually am thinking about getting a doctorate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I've been talking to some people about it. I'm kidding. Look at Patty's face right now. She could kill me.
That's crazy at your age, because
I know
it is. But I feel like
I still don't know. I really don't know, and I've been asking a lot of people, and I'm researching it, because obviously there's a cost factor. That's probably the biggest factor.
Huge.
And then the second factor is,
would you make the money back?
Yeah, but one of the things is, so I was telling one of my professors this, who I was talking to. So this is not the topic, but I am going to say, man, it could turn into a topic pretty easily. when I graduated high school, went to I did a bunch of mission work, and then I went to college, and I enjoyed college. Like it was hard because Patty and I were young married. I was driving 45 minutes and working 30 hours a week, and it was it was hard. And I scheduled my days so that I was at school all day Monday and Wednesday, Friday, one semester. The other semester I was there Tuesday and Thursday all day. I mean 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so I did that for years, right? And then the other days I was working, and then this is pre-computer, right? So you're typing, and it was crazy, the kind of what you were trying to do. But I enjoyed college because I did learn, it was good, but whatever. But I really was not even remotely interested in furthering my education at that time. I mean, there was a part of me that always thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a doctorate? I don't know why I thought it would be fun, but I always thought it would be fun.
Oh my God, a squirrel. How cute. Sorry.
Wow. That's literally ADHD what people say is squirrel. It's literally what they say, and you just did that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go. I'm so sorry.
Squirrel. And it's especially weird since we see them every day, multiple times a day.
It was just so cute. It was like, and then it was like, and then it kept going, It was cute.
I had no idea that it spoke.
I'm so sorry. Anyway.
Oh, God. Oh, look at it. It's coming back. I thought you were talking to it.
Aw, Dad. Aw. That's so funny. I know.
Squirrel.
I know, exactly. That's exactly what it was. Literal.
Okay. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
I don't either.
What drugs are you on? Okay, no. So what ended up happening was, all of my life I do whatever. I started to try and work toward my master's of divinity. If you're a pastor, that's what you do. I mean, honestly, that's what you do. I hated it. I honestly hated it. So I might have already told a little bit of this story, but it has a different ending right now. So, but I really didn't, I don't like knowledge for knowledge's sake. I like knowledge because of what impact it can make. So I really enjoy learning when it actually is going to be translated into something. So it's not that I think those pursuits are bad, but when I was getting my MDiv and I'm studying Hebrew and I'm studying Greek and I'm studying, the ancient myths of Mesopotamia, and I'm like, so what? What does this have to do with anything? Tell me how this applies to people's lives. Right. And so I'm reading these books and bored to death, and I'm dying. Now, granted, I really like reading. Actually, I actually really enjoy. I'm reading Roosevelt and Churchill right now. I like those kind of books, but for me, I can translate it into something. Some of this stuff, I was like, don't get why I'm reading this at all. Especially for a degree. In my own time, I might have enjoyed just some, like doing it. But for a degree, I thought, what are we trying to get accomplished here? And so. I just didn't do well. I mean, I think I passed and stuff, but I wasn't motivated. I didn't like it. And I honestly attributed it to, I'm not a student. I'm a lifelong learner, but I must not be a student. And Stephanie, our sister, was the one that told me, because I said, well, I'm looking into the MFT 30 years after going to college, and I'm thinking, am I really going to be able to do this? And she goes, Benny, I think it's going to be very different. So I didn't even tell her the history, but she goes, I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to like it. And master's degrees are different. And I thought, well, MDiv is a master's degree, but I didn't like that. And so then I get into my MFT, and I loved every minute of it. There wasn't a class that I mean, there were certain professors I didn't particularly like, but for the most part, every single class I was like, I learned something and took away from it and liked it and wanted to move on. Yeah. So I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, what, and this is the new part of me, that was a long way of getting to here, is all of a sudden, something that I had thought about years ago, which is I would love to have a doctorate, becomes more real because, see, I wrote off ever getting a doctorate because I thought, I'm not a student. Right. I'm never going to do that. Right. But now that I know that I can be a student, I aced my MFT. I'm like, why? It's like a goal now. It's not just... So even though it might cost me, and I'm not sure what the return will be, there's a part of me that goes, I just want it. I just like it. I really like learning. I really, yeah. And yes, there are certain things that would be beneficial financially. Now, would it be I might have to live to be 100 to actually get a return of investment, but it also depends on where I go and how much. And I'm not thinking I'm going to go to Yale, And one thing that it's not acceptable is I would have to maintain full-time work this time, whereas I didn't do that before.
Right.
And I would also have to, what was the second part of that? Oh, I don't want it to be the central focus of our lives for the next several years, where literally we would have the 6 of us together and we'd be having a family thing, and then I would be like, okay, I gotta go.
So there's a lot of pros and cons, and you just have to weigh them out.
I have to weigh them all out and decide if it's going to work and whether it's not. But here's a question for you then.
Is this our topic, or are we still
No,
going
it
to
isn't,
that?
but I'm still curious. It's 20 minutes. Okay. I'm curious about something. Where does the line get drawn between your real desires and what you really want to do? And is this something that you really want to do? And whether or not it's, quote, worth it?
Where does my line get drawn?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of what you're doing, like my line would be drawn, well, I'm 60, I'm 4 years older than you. My line would be drawn at, I'm entering retirement years.
Yeah.
I love to learn. I don't, for myself, I spent all my life working, all my life.
Yeah.
I want to now take a seat back. It doesn't mean I'm not going to work anymore, because I like to be busy. I'm in fact, we're approaching our summer break right now, and I'm so excited for it. And part of me gets nervous in the very beginning of it, because part of me is like, I like having the schedule of getting up and going to work. Yeah. But all that to say, it's like, if you would ask me this very question when I'm 30, I would have a completely different answer. But because of where I am in my life, and I'm thinking the expense, the part of your life where Patty was in school for a long time, and then she'd had to make sacrifices, and then you were in school, and then there were sacrifices that you guys made together. And now it's like, now you're in your late 50s, and you're going into this year of being in your 60s.
Mid 50s.
Well, okay. But I'm just saying, like, well, you're 56, aren't you? You're 4 years younger than me. Well, yeah, and not very long. But anyway, all that to say is, like, where is the line drawn of, okay, you know what? I am resting on the fact that I love being an MFT. I got my degree in it, and I really love it. I need to, I guess if you really want that goal, but the goal is going to be, I did it.
Yeah.
But will it pay off in the end?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the question.
And what are you sacrificing in these later years in life to get that?
Yeah. That's the point. The one thing is that I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice family, and I don't want to sacrifice. I won't reduce my workload to do it,
which is huge.
Right.
From when you were trying to get your master's. And
it was very different. Now, the master's degree, the master's degree was different. The master's degree the goal was to be a therapist, and I just need to get it done.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to do everything I can to get it done, which includes miss family stuff. And focus on, and not do quite as much work so that I can make sure that I could get it done. This would be different. This would be, I just want to get it done. And when I get it done, I get it done. And so now there's time constraints depending on the university you go to and which degree, et cetera. So it's not like I could do it for 20 years, but I could do it. But some of them are anywhere between 7 and 10 years. And so in other words, it would be much slower. And then, the financial thing is the biggest thing in terms. But my point is this: where is the line because something that's been coming up in my head is, for everything I've always been asking myself the question, is this financially worth it? And the question that I'm currently asking myself is, does it have to make financial sense for it to do it, even if it's just something I would really like to do?
Yes.
Why? Is that true? So in other words,
okay, so here's the story of me buying a house.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. But me buying a house, at 60 years old, does it make financial sense to buy a house for $1 million and have a 30-year mortgage when I'm 60 years old? And at the end of the day, then I will have a house when I die that's that much money. Does it make sense to pay into that? Does it make sense? So yeah, that line right there was drawn because no, that does not make sense. It's not going to be
No. I agree with you. But see, that to me is different because that's a very you're talking about something concrete.
Well, you are too. You're talking about
no, because
a
like
degree.
I'm talking about, well, yes.
And
but,
you're asking about the money aspect
but,
of it.
But what
not
I'm saying, well, no, you're right. But this is what I'm trying to say though, is the money the most important thing? Because, for instance, I've talked to Peter about this before, but we'll go to a Chiefs game where we'll spend $250 to go see for 2 tickets because they're $120 each or whatever. And we'll do that because it's an experience. Now, Peter's told me I'll never do that.
Right.
I would never do that.
Right.
There's no way in the world I'm spending that kind of money to go see a game.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. Well, I like the experience. So why wouldn't I? So I want to do that.
And likewise, he would spend money on something else that you go, oh no, I would never
I
do
wouldn't
that.
do it. I don't
It's
buy
whatever-
Starbucks.
Right,
I won't.
right.
I'm never gonna. I just don't buy $5 drinks.
Right.
It's like I just would buy. It seriously doesn't make any difference that it's right here at home. So I won't. There's certain things that I won't do. We'll go to. We already planned our Belize trip. We're going again in January again. So we'll spend whatever we're gonna spend to go to Belize. So there's certain things that we do so that because that's what we value. And I'm saying here it is, this doctorate to me is very much like that because it's not I'm not looking at it from the perspective of, okay.
How am I going to get my return?
Yeah. I'm looking at it from the perspective of, I just really would like to do this. Now, I will say, I think there are certain returns because one of the things I would love to do is seminars on couples and this and that and the other. And when you say you're a doctor versus a master's student, it's different. Or not student, master. You have a master's degree. I'm not saying it's impossible. You don't need to have a doctorate to do it. I'm just saying that.
I know a lot of people that do seminars that
don't have anything.
They don't have anything. They're
Right.
a life coach.
Right. No, I know.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I will say that I learned so much and I
Yeah.
continue to learn and I'm like going, I would love to continue to learn more.
Squirrel.
Was it a squirrel?
No, I just.
So
I'm
that's
just
just
kidding.
very
No, you know what?
interesting to me.
At the end of the day, it's you making that decision. You ask the opinion of people, but really it's ultimately your and Patty's decision.
Right,
Because
both
she
of
should
ours.
really weigh into what.
Oh, she has to.
Yeah.
She has to weigh into it. I think her biggest concern is time away and the money. Part of it is like, really, is this really going to make any difference? But I'm looking at it. I originally looked at it that way, like, ooh, would a doctorate make sense? But what's happening to me now is I just really want it. Like I really am desiring, and I'm asking myself when I'm 90.
Are
$5 million.
exactly. I want. Sometimes a want has to be curbed by responsibility, and I'm not saying that you're not deserving of getting that for yourself, but you really need to think about what the output is. And even if there's no return on it, like, yes, I did it. And, oh, well, I'm in my deathbed because I am sick and I'm going to die. So there's no return. Is it worth it? Did you give up certain things to get that and have that in your pocket? And that's all. I mean, it's just really at the end of the day, it's your decision on what's going to,
Because see, I don't ask myself the question, am I going to get a return of it? The
Right.
real question is, can we afford it? Because if you can't afford it, then what I don't want to do is say, when I'm 80, I wish I would have done that. That's my thing. I don't want to be 80 years old and go, I wish I would have done something that I really wanted to do. And the only reason why I didn't do it was because of, let's say in this case, finances. See, I would be upset if at 80 and I'm on my deathbed, or 90 and I'm on my deathbed. I'd be upset if I said, oh my gosh, I lost so much family time because I got my doctorate. Now, see, that would bother me.
for sure.
But at 90 years old, it's not going to bother me if I say, wow, we could be X amount of dollars richer.
Right.
That's not even going to faze me.
Of course. It's
And
really
so-
about
and so
the time
that's why I'm
management
saying-
and
right.
affording it. Yeah.
And so if we can afford it, then the question for me is, why wouldn't I? I mean, what I mean by if we can afford it, I'm not referring to...
So let me ask you this. Let's just say you say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. if in a year in, you guys are like, okay, wait, I am having to sacrifice a lot. I'm coming home. Patty's irritated because, or not coming home. Patty comes home and I'm irritated because I have this, that, and to do. I can't go to this. Could you? Are
then
you
you'd have to walk out.
committed?
No. Then you just walk away. Matter of fact, one of my professors, that was her recommendation. Her recommendation was take a class. Mm-hmm. She literally said, take a class, find out if it really interests you, find out if it really clicks with you, and then and if you're like, oh my goodness, I love this, I really want to keep going, and then obviously you'll be able to decide how it's affecting your life, etc. Because see, because there's different ways to do it, and obviously the faster you do it, the harder it's going to be, and it's going to take away from your life. But I'm not in a hurry. See, a lot of students who do this, who are, they literally go from high school, college, masters, and then they go to the doctorate. They just want to get done.
Right.
It's like, so I'm going to get in debt, and yes, they're working at the same time, but it's like, I don't care. I'm killing myself to be done. Medical doctors do the same thing. And so it's like, they just kill themselves so that they could get done. And then once they're done, now they work. Well, I am in no hurry. So I don't care if I finish when it's done. I just don't care. But it is interesting for me because I will say this. One of the things that both of my professors who I talked to, they said, well, I'm just going to tell you, I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I was better after doing it. There was no question that I learned a lot. So I'm like, well, that is a big deal for me. So I really like the idea, and I guess which we're not going to go to my subject, which is sitting here. but why I'm bringing this up is from a wholehearted living standpoint is, where do we limit ourselves on what we truly want to do, and what's that line? And is it important to say, you know what, if it doesn't actually tick every single box, then you shouldn't do it. I'm saying, is that really the healthiest way for someone to, are you going to wish that you did certain things? Are you stopped by certain obstacles that you see that are there when they're not really there? Are there, you see it? Am I making sense?
No, you are. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I really understand what you're saying. And I get it. Because I feel like if it really is something that you want to do, you're almost like, I should just go for it, But at the same time, and I know I say but at the same time, I also feel like you're at a point in your life where there's a lot of stuff to consider. And I'm not, and age is part of it, but also your relationship with your wife. Like you guys are now empty nesters, and and there's a lot of stuff. Like if it starts taking away from quality of life to obtain something that you want to get, whether it be 7 or 10 years later, it's like, is it really worth it?
No, and I that's the thing that's not acceptable, right? Now, there's no question there's always a sacrifice to anything. I mean, in other words, even if we started our own business, which we plan to do once I'm licensed, so that's going to take time. So, I mean, everything, there's always sacrifices at one point or another. We are not willing to, I am not willing to, she is definitely not willing to do what I did for my master's. So that's just not in the cards. It's not in the cards. I don't want that. I don't want that. That I would regret. So my kids are getting married. Hopefully one day we're going to have grandkids, and I don't want
to be tied
to be like, oh, their first birthday. Sorry, I got to write a paper. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It literally will not happen because I would rather quit. That is a line I'm not willing to cross.
Right.
But if it's about money, I'm going, if we can make it happen, why wouldn't I? I'm trying to figure out the negative, even if it doesn't. I will make more money as a doctor. There's no question. Now, will I be able to recoup every nickel that I spent in the doctorate? I don't know. But what I can say is that if it's something that, so this is my thought life right now. Yeah. So this is where
But this isn't even a decision you have to make today. You just literally finished getting your master's. So this is something you can ponder over for a while.
Couple of weeks.
All I know is if you become a doctor. Oh my gosh. Did I ever tell you this story?
Doctor, brother.
This is what pisses me off about that. I'll tell you the story since we're not going into your topic. But so I worked at an elementary school before this one, and the principal was a doctor. He had a doctorate, most people he was known as Dr. Remlin. That his last name was Remlin. His first name is Mike. And so I remember when he came on as principal, because he was new to our school, I went over and introduced myself. Hi, Dr. Remlin. My name is Valerie. And he said, oh, please call me Mike. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And so, okay. So we called him Mike. That's what he was known on our campus, Mike. So I had an issue when I was being transferred over from that school to Lincoln Elementary. And so I was calling the special ed department head over in the district. And I actually didn't know she was a doctor. Like, her name is, oh God, I know her last name is Hall. I can't remember her first name. But I said to her, because her first name was on the email, I called her by her first name. I said, well, so-and-so, I just was wanting to point out. She goes, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, that is Dr. Hall to you? And I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then she went on to say, now let me, after I explained my position on why I wanted to stay, she went on to say to me, you are just a paraeducator. You will be put where we put you. And I said, well, I understand that wherever there's a need, I will be put. I'm trying to express why I would like to stay at the school site that I'm at. And I said, and by the way, you're not talking just to a paraeducator. You're talking to a grown woman who, I was 55 at the time, who is 55 years old. I'm not a teenager. And I don't want to be talked to like that. And then she didn't say anything, but I was just like, ew. First, you want to make me call you Dr. Hall. Yeah. And secondly, you're just a paraeducator. I was so turned off by that.
Yeah, for sure.
So turned off.
But I'm not going to talk to you unless you call me Dr. Brother.
Dr. Brother.
It's going to be Wholehearted Living with Valerie and Dr. Bennie.
Dr. Brother. Dr. Brother. Yeah, Dr. Bennie
Dr.
Brother.
Sibling.
Yeah, I'm going to have everybody call me Dr. B instead of Uncle B.
Oh, God.
No, I'm just kidding. So, but anyway, you know what, when I started to talk about it, and I have a whole thing here.
I know.
Next time
you have to share it for next time.
Yeah, I already have a topic. But the reason why I'm bringing it up, though, the reason why I'm focused on it right now is I'm thinking about people who have goals and have certain things, and then you later have regrets. And right now it's hard to make this decision, because I know for Patty, I know it's one of these things of, I thought that chapter was over.
Sure.
Why in the world are we doing this? And then the second chapter is, I don't want to live that again, and neither do I.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing. I really enjoyed my master's degree, but it was hard.
I do understand, like you said, if people have goals and they don't do it. And then, maybe on your deathbed, you are saying, oh, I wish I would have just, woulda, shoulda, coulda. And then on the flip side, you did do the thing and you realized how much you sacrificed as your grandkids are walking in to see you on your deathbed. And you're like, God, I barely know him.
Right. Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this is the thing is that, because I've read so many, and not only read, but I've been with people who have been on their deathbed. And nobody says, I wish I would have worked more.
Sure.
Nobody says, I wish I would have done more. Nobody does that. Yeah. What they do say is, I wish I would have.
The relationships.
Yeah, it's all about relationship.
Yeah.
I wish I would have, spent more time. I wish I would have taken care of myself. That's another big thing.
Yeah.
So I just wish I would have. And then what's fascinating is how many people come to their deathbed, get out of their deathbed, and then they quit their jobs. Like their whole life changes because they realize
life is short.
Yeah, this is it, and it is short. It's crazy how it's weird. I'm not bagging on you. I'm being serious. That it's weird to me to think that my sister is 60.
I know.
Because I go, it's just, and then to realize that I'm going to be 56 in September. It's like. It's just weird.
It is weird.
It's so bizarre.
It's weird to say I'm 60.
Yeah. And then you say you're midlife. And then I said I'm midlife. And somebody said, yeah, you're going to live to 110.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, crap. I'm not midlife. I'm beyond
what's even
midlife.
weirder is you look at mom and dad and they're in their 80s, which is so bizarre because it's like, yeah, they're 80. You know them. I know them. But then you see like out of context, or you see a picture, like every now and then Karen posts a picture of them, mom and her friends going to lunch. And for a second, you're like, whoa, all these old women. You're like, oh my God, one of them's my
One
mom.
of my mom.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing that I think about is you know, on the news, all the old actors old quote unquote actors that die, and they're younger than mom and dad. And you're like you're thinking, wow, they lived a good life. And all of a sudden I'm going, wait a minute, that means that my mom and dad are done.
Yeah.
And so
crazy.
It's a really bizarre thing to be thinking. Because it's dad's birthday today.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's
80 something.
85.
He's 85 years old.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
85 years old is crazy. 15 years from 100.
He's midlife.
Midlife. And what's weird for our listener is that he told us for a gazillion years that he was going to die at 50 years old, like his dad, who I never met because he died before I was born. And
every birthday he would say, do you realize in 10 years I'm going to be 50? I'm going to probably die.
Every single time I'm going to die. And my dad died, and we'd hear the story about his dad dying.
Yeah.
And then he got very sick to the point of being in the hospital at 50. Mm-hmm. And he was, that was not a good experience for him because he really
I think he thought it was over.
Oh, yeah. I think he thought it was over.
This is it. I told you.
And we were thinking, you have the flu.
Yeah. Well, he had a collapsed lung.
Yeah, he did. It was a bad situation. But it was funnier when I said you had the flu. So it
was hysterical. You should be a comedian.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about getting a doctorate in comedian. Too. Oh, well, that's that.
Well, that wasn't the
topic,
was the
but
that
was
was a good conversation. I don't know what our listeners got out of that. They're like, oh my goodness.
No, at least it's better than macros.
Now we have to listen to Benny talk about school again.
Yeah, I won't talk about it at all. But I will say this, we can say that there's an expert on.
Ew.
Yep. And I'm going to make you call me
Dr. Bro.
Dr. Bro. Anyway.
Well, Patty's not laughing, so I think you guys have a lot of discussing to do.
Yeah, I guess we need our couples therapy.
Yeah.
But we can't afford to pay for it. So, yeah. So we'll just do it in a mirror.
Well, wow. I guess for the takeaway on this for our listeners is that...
Do you have another bed?
Do you have a goal that you want to achieve before you die? Don't do it at 55 years old. Do it now.
And I think the real thing is what's keeping you from doing it?
Yes.
What's keeping you from doing it?
What is keeping you from doing it?
That's it.
Is it? And I think that's a very poignant, is that the word? It's a very good question to ask yourself. On my deathbed, am I going to regret not going for it, or am I going to be fine?
Yeah.
And if you're going to be fine, you feel fine. But also, if I do it, am I going to regret maybe
the consequences?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything that came along with that.
Right.
Thing. So, Iggy, thank you for keeping us in sound. Always, folks, we are at wholehearted_living_podcast on Instagram, and we're at YouTube. If you're watching us, smile. And you can listen to us on Spotify.
That's right.
So there you go.
All right, you guys, we'll chat later. Ooh, I'm using the voice again. Bye.
Ciao.